Hi, everybody. Welcome to Am I the Asshole podcast. I'm Danny Vega, joined by my lovely co-host, Sarah. Sarah, how are you today?
I am pretty good. Did not work today, so it doesn't get better than that.
Had the day off. You love to hear it. I hope you took it leisurely. I hope you enjoyed yourself. Did you do anything special?
I hung out with my mom, so that was nice.
This isn't the Patreon episode, but you know what? I'm just going to admit it, people. I'm just going to say it. I'm just going to say the shit that's happening with me, okay?
What's happening?
Well, it's weird. You know, it's weird. I got in this series of relationship breakups. I've done a lot of reflection, and I've had to dig deep inside my soul, and some childhood wounds have been opened up, and it's a little bit surreal, but I'm kind of mad at my parents for things that happened decades ago.
Oh, that's hilarious. Well, it's not, but it's kind of funny.
It is funny. I mean,
just because it's so, typical of therapy. You lay on the couch, you talk about your parents.
Yeah. And I guess what I'm struggling with, the question is, you know, do I confront? Where is this going to go? I'm very hesitant. It's a little bit weird, you know, to be like, hey, I'm 30 and I got some bones to pick, people. You know, and
I want to know specifically, but I know your mom's going to listen to this and your dad. So
yeah, no, we don't need to go into it specifically. But I was a very sensitive child. I will say this. I cried a lot, and, you know, I cry now a lot, so nothing's changed, more or less. But it's a weird vibe to have going into the holiday season, and especially in this, and that's the other trippy part. It's almost like, oh, you're mad at your parents. Well, why do you isolate yourself? Oh, well, you have to isolate yourself because that's the state of the world. And I'm like, God damn. And that's the other thing. I feel like this conversation would be better had in person with some hugging and some affection. COVID.
Oh, so you're going to talk to them about it? Well, I feel like now you have to. Cat's out of the bag.
I'm very divided, honestly. I'm very divided. I don't think they listen to the podcast anymore because I haven't got an angry phone call in a while. But I'll know. I'll get an angry phone call if they listen to this. What is this?
God.
What are you mad about? You told them you're mad at us. But, you know, and I guess it's because here's the thing, you know, there's just so many layers to parents, you know. First of all, it's not easy.
Yeah.
And then they come from a different time, you know, they do. And that's, you know, that's a handicap. They didn't have Reddit. You know, they didn't.
I mean, we'll have the same handicap, so, you know.
We'll have the same handicap? No, I disagree.
Okay.
I mean, well, because they didn't live in the information age. You know,
sure, I guess, but I feel like every generation gets, more progressive than the last, so, you know, we'll fuck up in our certain beliefs that won't stand the test of time, and it will just continue.
Yeah, I guess I kind of believe that, but I feel like that's also the same line of logic where they go, watch, when you get older, you're going to be conservative. And I was like, I don't think so. And now I'm like, no, you're wrong. That didn't actually, you called that wrong. I don't know. I mean, I think there's always going to be a gap, obviously, and there's always going to be a too far extreme side of, you know, progress or whatever you want to call it. And eventually I'm sure I'll be 80 and I'll be like, don't, robots marrying other robots. That's hot, but it should be illegal.
Oh my God, that's exactly what you would say.
I'll have some weird position where people are like, we don't let him speak. He's not.
We barely let him do that now.
Robot marriage. Robots driving hovercrafts? No way. Let the dogs drive how it used to be. That would be awesome. Anyway, what else is going on? Tomorrow, I'm excited. I ordered this kind of monstrosity. It's called the...
Yes, I saw this on your Insta.
The pie cakin', and these people are apparently Instagram ad experts. They knew. They cracked me. They go, this guy, he fits the profile. We're gonna hit him with a pie cakin' ad an hour. Every single hour.
Okay, so it's a pie inside a cake. What's the end part?
So what it is a apple pie on top with a buttercream frosting.
Oh my God.
Okay, then you go down a layer, and the top layer is a spice cake. And then below that is a layer of buttercream frosting. And then you've got a pumpkin pie. And then below that, you've got a pecan pie. And
okay, so there's no N. It's just they wanted it to sound like a turducken.
I think so. I'm not really clear on, I don't know. Pecan, I think is the N, right? Turnip pie cake. I don't know. I don't care. All I know is that it's a monstrosity. It cost $100, which is ridiculous. It's supposedly...
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It supposedly feeds 8 to 12. As soon as I got it, I was like 8 to 12. 8 to 12 weeks.
You're like, I'm going to split that with my brother.
Oh, legit. I think me and 3 friends could freaking trash this thing. No problem.
8 to 12. I mean, yeah, 8 to 12 seems like a bit aggressive.
That's not realistic. I don't
Too
know
many
what kind
people.
of... Yeah,
also, you can't have that in the pandemic, so you got to adjust.
Yeah, exactly. It should be...
Everybody eats more.
1 to 2. Yeah, totally.
Legit.
I'm going to house that shit tomorrow. I mean, I went ham.
Please send me pictures.
Absolutely. I got some Tate's. So my birthday's Friday, so that's exciting. I'm turning 31, which, doesn't matter, which is nice. It's not a landmark year to turn 31, which you love. 30 was very stressful. You're Well, you're not 30 yet, are you, Sarah?
No, I turned 29, so same boat.
Yeah, no one cares about 29. 30, though,
Nope.
30 sucks. For me, it sucked. I don't know. See, and then today I drop on the therapist. I got therapy today. I go, listen, I got birthday issues. It's always a thing with my birthday. Like, I never know what I want to do. I oscillate between these huge parties and small parties. And then when I have a huge party, I hate it because it's not me. And then when I have a small party, I'm like, what a loser. I'm just having barbecue with my 2 friends. I'm a fucking loser. I can't win.
It's rough.
And I drop on him, is codependent because I'm identifying now as a codependent. This is my self-diagnosis. And then he's like, is that a thing? I said, our birthday's a thing. And then he goes...
What do you mean our birthday is a thing?
Well, because think about it, right? So the premise of the codepend is you're going in and you're always kind of catering to everyone else's needs.
Yeah.
Yourself isn't fully actualized. You're kind of like your identity isn't fully constructed. So you're kind of like in your primary relationships, in your intimate relationships, you're kind of like, how can I be there for this person and support whatever their game is? And so then what is a birthday? Well, a birthday is a reversal of that. A birthday is you are the center of the world, the center of attention. And I don't know. I've always had issues with birthdays. So... And then he goes,
interesting.
He goes, well, here's something. What about childhood birthdays? You got any memories of those? And I only have one birthday memory.
Really?
I got a boombox for like my 11th birthday, and I remember that I hated it. I hated the gift.
What? Why?
And because it was terrible, because it was already in Napster times. We were already over CDs. It was too late for the boombox. So I got this terrible boombox, and then I started crying because I hated the gift. But then I remember being ashamed that I was crying, and so then I felt guilty. I was like, what an ungrateful child is crying about getting a gift. I should be grateful for it. But then again, nobody needs a boombox.
I think boomboxes are cool.
I mean, it didn't have a way. I don't even think it had an aux in. It was like not... I was really not going to cut it. It was like, that ship has sailed. I was in rural Arizona. There's no subway for me to carry it around on and, be cool.
That's lame.
Anyway, I'm just trying to squeeze some extra therapy out, guys. That's what I'm doing with Sarah here. Just pouring out all my shit. Let's do this damn thing. Let's play a little bit of Guess the Verdict. AITA for changing the subject when this guy told me he was depressed.
I'm going to say maybe that's triggering for OP. And so therefore, perhaps, it would be so funny if the twist was like, the line was, sounds bad, but hear me out. I am a therapist and whatever.
Nice.
Okay, so here's what I think. But it does sound like a kind of asshole-ish thing to do. Fuck. Okay, I'll just go NAH because that was my first instinct.
NAH is wrong.
Damn it.
Here's the story. Gal gets randomly paired up with Marcus in a Zoom class. She asks, how's it going? He says, I'm depressed. She says, sorry to hear that. What are your thoughts about the project? He laughs and said, damn, you're cold. She said, guess so. They moved
That's
on.
kind of cold.
Talked to...
Just guess so? What the fuck?
Yep.
That's cold.
They move on. They talk about the proj. Top verdict, Riri Treetop, NTA, you don't know him. He doesn't know you. You have no obligation to comfort a stranger. He has no right to call you cold for a perfectly acceptable response in the sitch.
Boo.
Good. I'm happy. Okay. I thought you were going to be a defender of women here. I didn't know where you were going to go with this. I'm relieved.
Boo. I dislike that. Okay. I won't address that part of the comment.
Well, I thought you were going to go, look at this man making a woman a woman do emotional labor. I don't know. You didn't do that. So.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's terrible. Okay. It's one thing to be like, I'm sorry to hear that project that's borderline inept. But then when he calls you out for being cold, it's like, okay, that's your chance to backtrack and fix it.
Right. I mean,
because I feel like since like mental health is so stigmatized, you don't even know this person, and he's, you know, opening up to you a little bit. You can do a little something with it.
Exactly. I mean, look, first of all, I don't like that the verdict labels him a stranger. He's not a stranger. They're peers.
Yeah, you're in class with this kid.
Yes, they're peers in the same freaking class. So he's not a stranger. That's ridiculous. Second, this is like that kind of thing of like, why do you make the world that you want to live in? You know what I mean? And I'm not saying she has to have a friendship with this guy. And I'm not saying she needs to be there. This needs to be a half-hour therapy session. I just think, like, let him get it out, what he needs to say, and have that moment a little bit. Like, do you really need to be this rigid that you're just simply not going to go there? It's like, well, you missed a genuine opportunity to connect with someone.
Yeah, or even just like ask them how you can help.
I mean, I wouldn't go that far. I would just say like, I'm sorry to hear that. What are you depressed about? You know, that's it. No, you don't need to. And then if he kind of goes on for a minute and you go, you know, that really does sound hard, Marcus. That sounds really hard. I once got a boombox as a gift and it devastated me as a child. So I understand how it could be hard. Now, listen, we got to do this project, right? Like, just give him that kind of space to let him do what he needs to do. I don't think you need to indulge it because he is strange. He's not a stranger, but he's strange. But like, I do, here's where I'm getting stuck though, Sarah. It's an NTA, which means Marcus is the asshole, according to this person. I actually kind of feel like, is she the asshole? I don't know if this crosses for asshole.
Yes.
You think so?
I kind of think so. I feel like you're falling into this conversation that we've already like been corrected on, which is that like you can be wrong in the situation and not be an asshole, but you can be wrong.
Yes, but the scholars have pushed back. Then why does no assholes here exist? You're saying it means
because like
no one's
if you
wrong.
understand both people's perspectives and none of them are doing anything wrong.
Well, she's not really doing anything wrong per se.
I think she was being pretty callous.
Yeah, I don't know if I equate that.
So
I don't like her. Unlikable. I'll go with you. I'll go with you.
I don't understand what you're arguing.
Do
you agree with me or not?
No, I'm going with you. Yeah, it's that she rejected the damn you're cold even. That was just so brutal. I don't want to live in a world with this girl. You are right.
If she had said like, "Oh, I'm sorry. What's on your mind?" then I'd be like, "Okay, no assholes here." But if the fact that she was like, I guess I am cold. It's like, wow, okay then, so yeah.
I knew this had juice in it. By the way, guys, we're still playing Guess the Verdict. I know you guys are like, is this a situation? Because I don't remember. This is like AITA for changing the subject when this guy told me he was depressed. We agree. YTA. And Sarah got a point. No, Sarah did not get a point. She was wrong.
No, I didn't get a point. AITA for unceremoniously ending my cousin's teenage satanic rebellion.
Wow. Wow. I mean, you could have asked if I was sitting first. So I need that again. I can't. I got the Satan. That stuck with me.
AITA for unceremoniously ending my cousin's teenage satanic rebellion.
I'm going to say not the asshole because, come on, it's Satan. He's totally an asshole.
You're correct.
Yeah.
Wait, so that's your reasoning? Satan is the asshole, so OP's not the asshole?
Well, OP ended a satanic practice, so chances are that satanic practice was a bit much.
I see. Okay, so here's the story because I think this is awesome. So OP is a member of the Church of Satan, which I did not know exist. OP's cousin is 16 and rebelling against his parents who go to a church, claiming he worships Satan, wants to sacrifice the whole world to the Dark Lord, blah, 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 watches too many movies.
Good God.
So OP is like, all right, I will take you under my wing. And basically he says, people who are into this sort of devil worship get depressed when they learn every satanic group has actual rules and philosophies. So I invited my cousin to learn true satanic secrets, and then I got boring with it. So he basically bored his cousin out of satanic worship, and honestly, I love it.
I love it. That might even be a You're the Hero.
Yeah, honestly, maybe.
AITA
so funny.
For not telling my wife about my crypto wallet.
Oh boy, I would say YTA.
You are correct. Now, OP did buy the crypto before he met his wife. He says it's, quote, ridiculously big. 6 figures in the crypto wallet. Stranger Fish 2 with the top comment. YTA 6 figures. No matter your intent, it will come across as shady to hide that amount of money from your life partner, even if you didn't have the expectation of shared finances, which it sounds like you do.
Yeah, that's kind of fucked.
It's totally fucked, and I work in cryptocurrency, and you don't hide 6 figures from your wife. I mean, I say you don't even hide 4 figures from your wife. That's weird, man. You got to be transparent about that.
4 figures is like $1,000.
Yes, good. I'm happy. I was worried because I know you were starting your counting classes, so now you're really killing it. Yes, that is correct.
Yeah, I don't think like $1,000 to $9,000. I don't know. I guess it depends.
Well, I once quipped on Twitter I make 6 figures a year, but the first figure is 0. People, follow me. I'm dropping gold at Holy Duck. Don't miss it, folks.
Nice. AITA for serving vegan food at my wedding.
Oh my God, I saw this, but I didn't see the verdict.
Damn it. Okay, yes.
Okay, vegan food at the wedding. I'm going to say, then how would it be no? I'm going to say no assholes here.
Okay, you're wrong.
Ugh, stupid
NTA.
vegans. I knew they were going to get me.
I know. But I mean, basically the OP and her fiance are just like regular vegans and they just want to serve vegan food at the wedding, found a vegan caterer. That's all cool. What's not cool is that the uncle is like, I must eat meat.
Wow.
And is like, how dare you accommodate other people's dietary restrictions like low carb, but I can't get my meat. And OP's like, I would have to get a whole new caterer just for one dish. This is insane. And yeah, that's basically it. So the top verdict was NTA because obviously the uncle is being like a ridiculous person.
Obviously. So it sounds like we drew. We each got 1 point. So this is good. We've reached a sort of equilibrium of our verdict guessing talents. But I'll tell you what's not at an equilibrium. The number of reviews we have on iTunes. People, please rate, review, and subscribe. We really appreciate it. It's a way you can help the pod. It takes 1 second to maybe 4 seconds. I know some of you are on Android. Some have told me it could take as many as 7 seconds. Please
Sorry to hear.
rate, review, subscribe. We also have a Patreon. We're having the time of our lives. Call-ins, bonus episodes every week. I'm dropping juice on the call-ins. I mean, you thought me opening up about my childhood wounds was some kind of vulnerability. I am crying on air. I haven't cried yet, but Sarah, I want to cry on the...
Not yet.
I'm going to cry in the Patreon one day. We're going to make it happen. Folks, we got one heck of a juicy ep for you today. Our second story of the day, which I am just jonesing for. AITA for not giving my roommates the code to the panic room. But first, AITA for calling my wife lazy and a terrible mother. Whoa.
Oy.
Whoa. How is OP going to get out of this? Well, maybe wife's a lazy and terrible mother. I think that would do it. Okay, here we go. This is my first time posting, so excuse me for any mistakes I make. You're excused, OP. I'm a 57-year-old male. My wife is a 51-year-old female. I gotta say, I saw the genders coming. We've been married for 28 years. Have one son together that's 25. She's a stay-at-home wife. Never worked a day after we got married since I inherited a company that had been in my family for many generations, so money was never a problem, and we lived more than comfortably. Wow, okay, so I don't like your family already because you didn't have to work for it, but good for you. When our son was little, she took care of him and the house. Now that he's an adult, the chores are the only thing she does. She used to take on writing, but gave up because she said it's not as easy as she thought. Yeah, I think writing is the hardest thing in the world. Anyways, now I don't consider myself sexist or that woman belongs in the house with kids. Oh, he meant women. Or that women belong in the house with kids. This was her choice. She never liked to work. Problem, I work long hours and expect to at least have dinner after a long day. Now, we do have a housekeeper that comes over twice weekly. Her responsibilities, cooking, small chores. She stopped cooking and doing things lately because she doesn't feel like doing it. She spends her days hanging with her friends and shopping. And presumably he's on the wife, not the housekeeper. Also, our son was born as a female, and my wife always wanted a daughter. When he came out as trans, she threw a fit and was unsupportive. I paid for his surgery, and he transitioned. She was never as caring toward him as before and uses wrong pronouns and his old name all the time. The other day I came home. She didn't do anything the whole day, and I snapped. I told her I'm sick of her not doing anything while I'm providing for our family. My son is also still in college, and I pay for all of his expenses and apartment because I want him to focus on school. The argument went on, and she decided to throw in my face how it's my fault she lost her daughter. This really socked me. And I told her she's lazy and also a terrible mother for talking as if her child is dead when we have a perfect, healthy son. I am at a loss. Half of my family members are siding with her. Oh, this is so classic, including our son. What? Oh, half with me. Half with her, half with me, including her son. I thought the son sided
Oh,
with her.
yeah, I read that wrong the first time, too.
I was like, wow,
what
okay.
kind of fake-ass crazy... Anyway, all right.
She called me an asshole, went to stay with her sister. Was I the asshole? I'm seriously considering divorce.
So, okay, I kind of feel like if this story is real, I do feel like I need to come at OP for, like, completely burying / misorganizing the lead.
Sure.
Which is, like, the trans stuff is a huge, huge issue, and that's the issue. Like, I don't understand why we're couching this in, like... And I don't understand why the housework and stuff was, like, his bigger problem. Like, why did you not have a problem back when your wife was using...
Two priorities.
Misgendering your child and using their wrong name.
Two priorities in this house, okay? I like a clean house, and I want you to treat our children like humans, and that is the order of my priorities.
Yeah, right?
Okay?
It's like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, you're right. It's very weirdly about housework and her work history. Also, he kind of speaking out of both sides of his mouth here. He's like, I inherited a company, but then I have to work really hard. Like, what do rich people suck at being rich?
I mean, you can inherit the company, and then you have to just still do stuff at the company.
I know, but you could also like sell it and then not. I don't know. What do I know?
But I guess they didn't do that.
Anyways, look, I think this is, I mean, just like she's abusing this child. I mean, this is horrible. And still is child abuse, let me say, according to the principle of, you know, the parent-child relationship. You know, that doesn't change just because this person is an adult. And she's being a monster, and it's completely unacceptable and cruel, and it's messed up.
Yeah, I mean, she's behaving like horribly.
Horribly.
And that's the real problem. And the housework is like a throwaway. I feel like this is not even part of the situation.
Right.
And also the fact that he led with lazy. This is why I'm like, I have issues with OP.
No,
because
OP's weird.
It's like okay, your first issue is that she's lazy, and the second is that she's a terrible mother. Like, one of these things is actually like a more serious problem, and it's so obvious.
Right. No, it's a strange juxtaposition.
Yeah.
See, one thing though, and I know none of our listeners or very few of our listeners are in this camp, but like one thing I've never understood about people on the right, and I'm really talking about, you know, people who like to stir shit, and like, oh, I don't respect your pronouns or whatever. I'm like, why? Like, even if you're the most like extremist view and you're like, oh, well, that's not real and whatever, it's a mental disorder, like the most horrible thing you could say. I'm like, so just say the word. It still hurts their feelings. Like, it's so it's such a callous, horrible thing to do.
It's not your life, and it doesn't affect you at all. So like, what's the big deal to like make this person feel affirmed? Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't even. Yeah, I mean, I look at it more than negative cost because it's, you know, it's very offensive and hurtful to be misgendered and to use someone's dead name. Like, that's so hurtful. It's like,
if you can't even appeal to that side, which I feel many have tried and failed, then you could appeal to the side of like, what difference does it make in your life one way or the other?
Right, I just don't understand. It's such a minor courtesy. Like, there's a Ben Shapiro argument that's like, if you can no more change your gender than you can change your age. And I'm like, okay, but like if some guy was like, I'm 21 years old and he's like clearly 85, and I know it's gonna really upset him to tell him that, then I would just be like, yeah, man, you're 21. You know, that's great. Like, I don't understand what's even the question. Like,
I mean,
be kind to a person who thinks or who wants or who just like if it's gonna hurt someone so badly, why wouldn't you just respect it? It's ridiculous.
Do the thing as long as it's not hurting you.
Exactly.
Like,
exactly. Nico S. NTA, she sounds like she has become lazy and entitled, which in the context of her personal life, not a crime, but to act like that towards your son, F her. I think we agree with that. Taylor L. NTA would have started in a divorce when she refused to recognize your son. Peace out, biatch.
I mean, this is the problem with OP where I'm just like, why? It's just so strange that it's taking to this point. It's like, oh, misgendering our son, that's cool. But when you get lazy and start slipping on the housework, that's where I draw the line. Like, what is happening here?
I mean,
this is what makes you consider divorce?
My take on OP is that, you know, he's a kind of very passive, unassertive, you know, so he's kind of comfortable with her. They're also old, so we don't know how long they've been married. Oh, they've been married for 28 years. So like, there's like a, you know, there's a whole history here of these people and this toxic dynamic. So he doesn't really know how to assert himself with her. And like, yeah, I mean, he clearly has no grip on the situation to treat your kids this way. And I mean, this is something that I'm coming to with my parent-child kind of rules too. It's sort of like, y'all are a team. So if she's fucking up or if he's fucking up, like, you're fucking up, dog, because it's your job to protect your kids. So, like, you know what I mean? Like, you are responsible for whatever she's doing.
Totally.
You are.
I mean, completely, because you're having one parent do the right thing and one parent do all the wrong things.
Exactly.
And that's not okay. It doesn't like even out. It's not how it works,
Exactly. Very well put. AITA for calling my wife lazy and a terrible mother. I mean, I think we do have some qualmage with OP, but nonetheless, I don't know that I can bring this to an ESH just because, like, she sucks so much.
I think it would have to be, like, for me to bring it to an ESH is, like, extrapolating too much. And, like, I don't tend to like to do that. So I can go NTA.
We're going to say we agree here. NTA and the wife actually is the asshole. Look at that. AITA for not giving my roommates the code to the panic room. I mean, people, have you ever been this excited in your life? I haven't. Give me the juice. When I moved into this house with these two other women, I got the master suite. I was willing to pay more for it. It came with an extra closet and an adjoining bathroom. What I didn't realize until after we started moving in is that the door to the extra closet in the master bedroom was like 5 inches thick with a small keypad on the outside and a large locking mechanism on the back. The inside was set up with shelves and stuffed like a closet, though. Very interesting. The owner explained it was actually a panic room, but they'd always just use it as a closet. He did give me the code, though. Since then, I started using the room as a sort of safe and keep my valuables and other private stuff in there. I got news for you. That's often what closets are used for, too.
I got news for you, buddy.
I love being able to have a place in the house that I know no one else can access. There's something comforting about this since it's my first time living with roommates. Anyways, there's been a couple break-ins around town. I knew this was coming. Here we go.
Obviously.
Welcome to Act 2. Now my roommates want to have the code to the panic room, especially my one roommate, Emily, who has a daughter. Emily says her daughter's really freaked out by the recent event, and the idea of having a panic room helped her calm down and get to sleep. Oh, my God.
I want to know how old the daughter is.
Both roommates are saying it's an amenity of the house and they should have access to it. I, however, think it's an amenity of the master suite as it was advertised as an extra closet in the master suite. I also feel very uncomfortable with them having the code to it and being able to access things I keep in there, so I'm refusing to give them the code. I actually called the landlord and asked him not to give them the code, and he agreed. So now they're saying I'm being a jerk, and if something happens to them, it will be my fault.
Interesting, because, like, if something happened to you before you knew you had a panic room, whose fault would it be?
Yeah. I mean, that's a good point. It would be the fault of the person who, chops you into tiny pieces, as robbers are known to do. I mean, I guess we could kind of talk about the fact that, like, look, I mean, does anyone else hear panic room and go, great, finally a room where I can take my neuroses and freak out and scream? Like, that's to me the primary use of such a room. I understand that a lot of Americans live in a kind of state of fear. I don't know what y'all are watching, but, it's so ridiculous. This is such a fringe case for anything to ever happen. Nonetheless, I admit it's possible. And I think really what this is going to hinge on here is the facts of the situation, which is it an amenity of the house or is it an amenity of the master suite? I actually kind of view that as the fundamental question here.
It is definitely a good question. I don't know. I mean, if I was in the master suite and paying more, I just don't like the idea that someone could just come into my room whenever they want.
Well, not whenever they want, right? They would only go in the situation of a panic.
Sure, but what does that mean?
Well, I would say they have sufficient evidence to freak the fuck out.
Yes, here's the thing. You would say that because you are, like, a decently reasonable person, but, like, these are stranger roommates, and we've heard, we've read many horror stories where, like, these people might be very reasonable, but they might be the type of people, if you give them an inch, they take, like, 5 miles, so we don't really know.
Yeah.
And if I don't know someone that well that I'm living with, like, I can understand not wanting to give them, like, certain allowances.
See, I think I understand that a lot. I guess the other kind of questioning that I'm chewing on here is like, well, she didn't even know it was a panic room, right? It's a closet. So she thought it was a closet. So now she's essentially refusing to give the code to her closet. It seems a little weird. I'm almost starting to land on a verdict that looks a little bit like, yeah, you're the asshole, but the chance that it will ever matter is so slim and ridiculous that I'm fine with it. But
I get what you mean, because it's not like the nice or like courteous thing to do. Does not doing the nice thing make you the asshole? Like, I don't know. I mean, I do definitely understand why the roommates.
you know what? I've got a way to
code.
do this. I think my philosophy degree
Okay.
is right about to pay off people.
Here we go.
There is a very famous rule in philosophy, and it's called something fancy. It's called the categorical imperative. That's what it's called. And it's a rule you can use, and basically it's very simple. It's act by that rule, which you will become a universal law. In other words, think about the best possible rule that could exist for these sorts of situations, and then act by that rule. And this is where I think OP is kind of going to get clowned, right? Because if I imagine 1,000 or whatever of such houses where one of the roommates has a panic room, and they all adhere to the rule that they will not share their panic room, well, somebody's gonna get killed. And they could have been in the panic room, nice and safe.
Well, I guess the question is, like, why is there not some sort of middle ground where, like, OP, like, is OP, like, spending every night at her boyfriend's or something like that, like, where she would not be home to access the room? So, I mean, in theory,
She
like,
would be there.
she
But
would
Sarah,
be
you
there,
gotta give
and
me
they
the
would all
rule.
be
You gotta
there.
give me the rule. You know that if there's enough panic room houses, which by the way, I say let's build more of these things. There's enough panic room houses, and if we play by OP's rules, someone will eventually be killed unnecessarily, boyfriend, sleeping or not. Eventually that will happen. So I say my rule has got OP in a corner. JE thinks the way you laid it out made me think YTA, because you could get a safe and use the panic room as a closet like it's advertised. I think that's a great negotiating point. All right, listen, guys. Here's the truth.
They're buying
Exactly.
the safe.
That's where I was going to go.
Case.
Here's the truth.
Okay,
I
good.
like the panic room. It's my panic room. Guess what? The lease never stipulated I had to share my closet. I actually think that's a fair argument. So you want access to the panic room? Great. Give me, whatever, $100 each. We'll do a safe. Maybe I would say it's fair for her to split it 3 ways, because then she maybe takes it, but whatever. Amy J, NTA, you're paying more for the master, and it came with a bonus that no one knew ahead of time. Cameron M, no hassles here. It does sound like the roomie only has good intention and hopes to just help her daughter feel safe. If you trust them enough to live with them, I feel you should trust them to have access in case of an emergency. That's a really good point.
I mean, semi, but like, I've read too many New York City roommate horror stories, so...
I know, but Sarah, if we lived in
know.
your world, you'd be like, I don't even feel comfortable going in the panic room. There's probably a murderer already in there.
Well, you never
Kimberly
know.
B.
So I gotta have cameras.
Kimberly B says, I think YTA just because I think it's super shitty to have a safe space in the event of an emergency and not let other people use it.
I mean, it sucks because you can't unring that bell, so now that you know what it's for, like...
Exactly.
You can't just pretend it's a closet anymore.
Exactly. The knowledge is important. Player for our rights. The panic room wasn't a feature described when you moved in. It was figured out later on. It's awkward because it's in your room, but I would say if they feel unsafe, they need to talk to the landlord about getting better security at that place. What a red herring response. No. There's no way this is about the landlord. He is an impartial, irrelevant figure in this.
I mean, yes and no, because if he's agreeing that, like, he's already involved in this situation and agreeing that they shouldn't have the code. So I don't think it's unreasonable to ask your landlord, like, if he can put bars on the window or, like, whatever it is that you want.
Well, yeah, it's not unreasonable. I just don't think it's relevant to the morals here, because I think really the question is, I mean... No, I'm really going to stick to my rule here. I think my rule is ironclad. AITA for not giving my roommates the code to the panic room. I'm saying YTA because if we apply this roommate's logic to 1,000 of these houses, someone's going to get killed when they have a perfectly good panic room up there. Right? And now, Sarah, you could come back and say, okay, Danny, but under your system and your rule in the 1,000 panic rooms, some of the roommates are going to rob this roommate, I guess, because she has a safe. Who has a safe, though?
Sure, but, like, better robbed than dead. I mean, I'm not gonna push back on that way, but I just think that's, like, incredibly, what's the word? Like, I don't know, it's a very intellectual way to approach it.
How dare I?
I don't know if that's relevant to, like, an actual real world
It's
scenario.
very relevant. It's considered the founding principle of freaking half of ethics in philosophy. It's a banger.
Okay, I guess if I was in that situation, I wouldn't care if there were 1,000 hypothetical panic rooms.
What do you
Like,
mean?
I
There
would be
are.
like,
I mean, this definitely happened more than once. Okay, there's probably 17 of these throughout the United States.
I don't know. I kind of feel like no assholes here. Like, I get why OP doesn't want to, but like, I get why the roommates want it.
I'm sticking to my rule. I think we're not going to really settle. I mean, look, it's obviously...
I think OP like should, I don't know, try to work with them and figure out some compromise. I think OP would, like, it would be the nice thing to do to share it.
No, I think it's morally obligated. It's like, it's a panic room. The daughter's afraid. There's break-ins around town. It's just like, it's not. The panic room is there for the people who live in the house to go if they feel unsafe. And if she doesn't trust them, then what's the problem? Like, that seems like a separate problem.
Well, if she doesn't trust them, then that's the problem.
She didn't even know. Exactly. She didn't even know it was a panic room that could lock permanently. Now that she does, she's being all precious about it. I think this is bullshit. I think the code should be shared. I think she's an asshole if she doesn't share the code. I don't think that they need to buy her a safe, but given that these are her feelings, I think it would be a deft maneuver to pitch the safe.
It's like, okay, when you are trying to convince someone to do something they don't want to do, they're not going to ultimately relent by you just like browbeating them.
No, they're not.
You probably not.
No, no.
You have to do something.
Right. I think pitching the safe is good.
This is like beyond who's the asshole, because it's like there is a way to compromise and work this out. There's a number of ways, and like these people just have to find a way.
Yeah, I mean, look,
because like ultimately this girl has the code, so them being like, oh, but we should have it, blah blah blah, and like harping on that point is not going to make her do anything.
They need to meet her in the middle to achieve what they want to achieve. Nonetheless, Sarah, I don't think we're going to see eye to eye on this. I think they're negotiating with an asshole. You think that no one is the asshole here, and that's where we've settled. All right, folks, now it's time for everyone's favorite part of the show. Danny cries on the air. Just kidding. That's only on the Patreon eventually.
Yep, I was going to say that.
I'm going to build it up. AITA for teaching my daughter how to fight behind my wife's back. Oh, God. Sometimes you get a panic room thing, and then you get this, and you go, what is my life? Wow, this is quite verbose. Here we go. Thank you for submitting. Okay, here we go. Listener submish. My 45M, wife 41F, and I've been married for 17 years and have 2 kids. Our son is 16, daughter's 12. This story is about our 12-year-old daughter, who I'll call Megan.
Okay, I didn't need to know about the son in this case.
We don't know. Maybe he comes back. My wife and I both played sports all through high school and a little bit in college as well. This story has a lot of background. Our 16-year-old son is on the track and wrestling teams. He's really outgoing, lots of friends. Megan, she's quite reserved, more interested in things like arts and reading than sports. I stand Megan. It's never bothered my wife or me that she isn't into sports. I think it's awesome. She's smart, funny, creative, loves animals, and is kind to everybody she meets. She even writes short stories and illustrates them. As a guy who struggled to maintain B's and C's throughout school without a creative bone in his body, I think she's just about the coolest kid in the world. I wish all the kids at school saw her that way too. That was sweet, Dad, but kind of irrelevant. Anyway, so love you, Dad. You're a nice guy. About 2 months ago, Megan comes home sobbing and runs up to her room. Pretty unusual for this laid-back kid. My wife went to talk to her and later that night gave me the scoop on what had been happening. Apparently a girl in Megan's class, Cynthia, quote unquote, has been giving Megs a hard time. I don't even know how it started or why, but this girl decided she wanted to make Meg's life hell, called her fat, a loser, other words I don't feel comfortable saying. Cynthia has also been getting her friends in on the action and even a few boys in the class too. A lot of people ganging up on Megan. Megan told my wife she doesn't want to tell any of the teachers about it, but did say a few teachers have seen it happen and did nothing. From what Megs told my wife, a boy in Meg's class was really upset by what he was seeing and went to talk to the principal about it. However, nothing changed and the behaviors just continued. The catalyst occurred on the bus ride home from school that day. Cynthia saw Megan reading a book, grabbed it out of her hands, and upon seeing it was a quote-unquote fantasy book, started screaming "Dragon Girl" at her and eventually got half the bus to chant it for a good while.
That's not even an insult.
Until eventually the bus driver told them all to knock it off. Megan was humiliated. That's so mean. I laughed because it was kind of funny, but like it's also really mean.
It is kind of funny and also kind of like a compliment, but also I get why you would be humiliated.
I get why she's humiliated. Kids are fucking horrible.
Kids, like, you could say something nice, but if you say it in a mean tone, it's
mean to call her a dragon. No one wants to be a dragon girl. That's terrible.
Better than a horse girl.
I don't know. I think horse girl, it's become normalized. Anyway, my wife had tears in her eyes as she told me all this. It broke my heart that this evil kid could treat my little girl this way. All right, OP. I don't know. I don't know about that. My wife thinks we should call Cynthia's parents or go to the principal about it, but Megan begged us not to do that. I think she believes that will make it worse. I said if nobody at school is going to do anything, we should give Megan permission to fight Cynthia back. My wife said absolutely not and shut that idea down pretty quickly, so I dropped it. Whew. Later that night, I went to Meg's room, visited her, checked before bed. She still seemed upset and asked if she could stay home from school the next day. We sat and talked about why she didn't want to go. I agreed to let her stay home the next day, but I said she'd have to go back eventually and asked her what she needed to feel safe doing that. She mumbled, said she didn't know. That's when I asked her straight up, do you want me to teach you how to fight? I put on Eye of the Tiger and a montage ensued. About a month every morning before school without my wife's knowledge, Megan has gone running with her brother and I, followed by basic lessons in our basement. Nothing too serious or violent, but I'm a former D1 wrestler and her brother is quite a good wrestler as well. So we had a handful of basic self-defense moves we could teach her easily. Megan may not like sports, but she's naturally pretty strong and caught on easily. Last week, my wife and I got a call from a principal that Megan got caught fighting with Cynthia. Apparently, Cynthia tried to push Megan only for Megan to, exactly as we taught her, use Cynthia's body weight against her and throw her to the ground. A scuffle ensued, and basically Megan kicked her ass as much as a 7th grade girl can. Nothing serious, but Cynthia is going to have a shiner. My wife was furious at Megs for fighting, but her anger immediately turned to me when I revealed I had not only encouraged Megan to fight back, but taught her how to as well. I told my wife that the last few weeks are the most confident I'd ever seen Megan. I was proud of her for fighting back. She never so much got as detention in her life, and I don't think that one fight in 7th grade is going to ruin her life or chances of going to a good school. My wife said violence is never okay and is pissed at me. Megan has detention after school every day for a week, but seems pretty okay with the consequences. My wife wants to ground her for a month, but said that feels extreme, especially because I told her it was okay. My wife won't listen and doesn't even want to talk to me about it. She said I'm teaching our daughter all the wrong lessons. I love my wife. I value her input, but she was a popular cheerleader on homecoming court in high school. And I just don't think she ever got bullied the way I'm in now. I'm like, whatever, OP, this was long, but you know what? You got me. You won my heart. And I just don't think she ever got bullied the way Megan's being bullied now. I grew up being taught that the only way to stop a bully is to fight them back. I talked to my sister as well, just to get another woman's perspective. And she said she's proud of Megan for standing up for herself, but that I shouldn't have hid it from my wife, and that makes me a jerk in this sitch. I see where my sister's coming from, but I don't want my daughter to grow up thinking that she isn't entitled to defending herself. So I gotta know. AITA. Whoo, that was a doozy. Epic submish, OP. I know I roasted you a little bit, but I give you mad props. That was straight up epic.
This was fun. Good narrative.
A lot of things to chew on here. I mean,
yeah.
I think one fear I have, and I don't mean to doubt Megan here, but, you know, OP, it's just interesting in your account, you kind of describe non-physical fighting, and then all of a sudden you're starting to gear up Megan for this physical battle. And isn't it interesting that things happen to become physicalized as soon as you taught her how to fight? Thought that was weird. Was there any physical stuff?
What are you talking about?
There was nothing physical that happened.
Oh, because it was just
It
bullying?
was Dragon Girl was bullying, and then OP goes, I know the solution. How about we teach you how to fight? It's like, what? What? There was no physical fighting prior, but I'll give OP the Benny of the D. I just found it a little suspect.
Yeah, I mean, I think there should be intermediate solutions with your words before you are like, all right, let's fight.
Exactly. And he was encouraging her to fight, and there's no way around that. I mean, I think the question here, and we always come back to this, and we're always modest about it. You know, we don't have kids separately or together. And the reality is that...
Thank you for specifying that.
And the well, I do have a kid, but anyway. So the reality is that, you know, this confidence boost is really something that I'm unable to kind of weigh. So part of me is like, well, if it boosted her confidence and it put her in a good way and it made her feel capable in a situation where ultimately she was humiliated among her peers, that is persuasive to me and something I can't fully opine on, but I certainly see why wife is pissed at the same time.
I mean, I do see why wife is pissed. I do think violence is never the answer is like a little overly simplistic, but I mean, I don't know.
I mean,
This is a hard one because I'm also like, why did it also escalate from just using someone's body weight against them and throwing them to the ground to then like now she kicked her ass?
Well, they got into it. You know what I mean? They got into it. Here's where I'm going to start to come for you, OP. Here's where I think I have your sin, my friend. I think you were trying to do the right thing. And you might have even done the right thing, but you committed a grave sin here. You did it behind your wife's back. Why? Why did you go behind her back? She has valuable insights.
Well, I feel like he did because he knew her stance on violence.
He knew her stance. Not only did he know her stance, he was unwilling to defend his stance. In fact, OP was unwilling to fight the wife verbally about, hey, honey, I think this is one way to solve this problem. And maybe you could have met in the middle and found a more healthy situation for the both of y'all. And maybe you could have even disobeyed your wife had you disagreed at that point. But the fact that you weren't even willing to have that conversation, I don't like it.
Yeah, I mean, he should have not gone from 0 to 100 without his wife's back.
Yeah, well,
I mean, behind his wife's back.
I mean, look, if he went behind his wife's back after they had that conversation, he goes, listen, Megs, your mother, she doesn't want you to learn this stuff. I think it's really important. And you know what your mother told me? She goes, I don't want Megan to fight. I don't want Megan to fight under any circumstance. And I'm going to repeat to you what your mother said. I don't want you to fight under any circumstance. That said, I think you should know how. That feels a lot more like accommodating.
Is it bad that I would be like, since I can't teach you to fight, but your brother is a wrestler, go ask him.
Yeah, I mean, like, and I know that's still kind of sneaky, but it's still kind of acknowledging wife and acknowledging her feelings, which are valid too, you know, and like this is a thing we talk about a lot. There's no need to be black and white here. Like personally, I really like OP, so I might be biased. I kind of like in this is like a 60-40 thing because I kind of feel like OP kind of did the right thing because I'm worried about Megan and how she got picked on, but also like wife isn't wrong. It's not good to fight. It's not good to encourage fighting, and you know this doesn't look good. It's not going to ruin her life. But Oceana W writes, NTA, I'd rather have my kid in detention for self-defense over committing suicide because of bullies. I mean, sure, but do we need to go all the way to suicide? I don't know. I mean, I guess.
I mean, they needed to do like something. So if OP's wife isn't going to condone fighting, which is like completely fine, but then like, what is the solution?
Well, I thought OP's wife offered some good solutions, you know, and he was maybe afraid of.
What, ground her?
No, go to Cynthia's mother. Let's have a conversation. Let's broker a peace accord between Synth and Meg. And
where was this?
Oh, I mean, yeah, it was in the first chapter, Sarah. It was in the first chapter.
Oh, my God, I know. Sorry,
Megan begged us not to do that. She said it'll just make things worse, okay? There was pitches of alternatives here, alternative options.
I mean, I do think that's probably true that it would make it worse. But
I disagree.
Sure.
I disagree. I think that there was conversations that could have happened. My wife thinks we should call Cynthia's parents. Why wouldn't you call Cynthia's parents? Legitimately, why?
I guess you could try it.
Try it, of course. What do you mean? There's nothing bad that can happen. Hi.
It could get worse.
No, it could not get worse. How could it get worse?
How?
I mean, unless you assume Cynthia's parents are sociopaths. Hi.
I mean, presumably the parents would then talk to Cynthia, who could
so
either
you think that's,
listen to them or ramp it up when their parents aren't around.
Well, yeah, she could ramp it up, but I think that's a worst case scenario.
So the bullying could get worse.
I mean,
I think it's like a 50-50 shot.
I think that looking at it that way is toxic because I would say, hi, we're Megan's parents. We're very concerned about the girls. Cynthia said these things to Megan and, you know, we're just very concerned and we'd like to sit down, our family and your family, and we'll get some Domino's pizza. We're sponsored by Domino's. We're not. And we'll talk about, you know, what's going on here because this is very hurtful to Megan. And I know you guys are great people. We just thought we could sit down with the gals and have a little chit chat.
I'm not saying that it's not worth a try. I definitely do think that it is worth a try, but like acting like this is a no-brainer gonna solve the problem, I think is like a bit naive is all I meant.
I mean, I think if you just called the parents and go, hey, your daughter like hurt our daughter, bye. I think if you broker a sit down, you broker a peace talk, you take this seriously, it's possible it could still fail, right? Like if Cynthia just DGAF, but I think that children can be reckoned with. So I think that was a much better first approach. I mean, really, how much worse?
Yeah, I mean, they should have had some kind of first line of defense that wasn't literally self-defense
Exactly.
classes.
How much worse could this have gotten? Obviously, people are bringing in suicide, etc. I don't think we were anywhere near that, folks. I think the fact that this ended in physical violence is the worst case scenario. So yeah, OP, I'm sorry, but I think your wife offered a good solution, and Megan, kind of cried to you, and well, of course that makes her uncomfortable. She's a child. So you've got to kind of take the reins here and be like, listen, sweetie, we want you and Cynthia to have a chat. I think Cynthia is, she is possibly evil. And that was another thing, OP, you reduced her to being evil. Is that really realistic? Do you think this is an evil girl? No.
Listen, we know that OP likes to paint a narrative, and OP is good at it. I'm not going to comment OP for using embellishment words.
I'm a fan of OP. I understand it, right? I understand it.
I don't think OP actually thinks this girl is possessed by the devil or whatever.
Of course not. But I'm just saying, isn't it interesting that he was very reductive about Cynthia, and then look at how reductive he got. He saw the only solution here was to train her in a montage. You won't believe the power behind Megan's fists.
I would love to watch that.
No, I would. I mean, look, OP
set to the Rocky theme.
This
song.
is a really rare one where it's how can anyone this is such a great movie. I'm on OP's side, but I just this is the very adult part of me being look, dude, this just could have been handled a little better. It just could have. Kimberly M, NTA for teaching her to fight. Work it out with your wife. Shame on your wife for not doing anything to help the situation either, though. That's true. Wife, because wife did nothing.
She threw out one idea and then it got shot down, and then she kind of just was like, well, that's all I had.
That might bring me more toward the center here of No Assholes Here land. Wife was just kind of whatever, and then OP does explain that, right? Because she was a popular cheerleader. So she can't even empathize.
I feel the wife didn't really understand how bad it feels.
Right. Kristen O, ESH. Ooh, could we go to an ESH? Except Megan. The school admin needs to do more about the bullying. Your wife should not be punishing Megan for something you have her permission to do. And you should not have gone behind your wife's back. Big agree there. I don't, it's a little bit hard to come for the sort of amorphous school admin, but I do think treating children like they're autonomous adults is a good way to go, and just forcing them to chat and really work this shit out and talk.
They didn't want to go to the parents. They didn't want to go to the school. So then it's kind of all right. OP goes, I said if nobody at the school is going to do anything, we should give Megan permission to fight Cynthia back. And the wife said, absolutely not. But it's you didn't actually know that nobody at the school was going to do anything.
Yeah, they didn't go to the principal. They didn't try to escalate things.
That said, I mean, I imagine if the bus driver noticed this, maybe teachers have noticed. So, again, has nobody noticed or stepped in? I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think they should have given the school an actual proper chance to respond and do something, because it is the school's job to deal with it.
I have an answer. I have my answer, but I think this comment by Amy L can't be ignored. My daughter was relentlessly bullied on the bus. She'd also earned her junior black belt. I told her she was not to strike first, but if he laid a finger on her, she had my full support to kick the boy's ass. He put a hand on her. She laid him down. All the bullying stopped, and she was the bus hero for the rest of her high school days. 100 million % NTA. Sometimes there is no other way. And Amy's right. Sometimes. This was not one such time. Yeah. All options had not been exhausted. OP, on the matter of AITA for teaching my daughter how to fight behind my wife's back. First of all, let me commend you. One of my favorite listener submissions of all time. Incredible. Up there with the rooster. Remember the rooster? We love the rooster. This was an unbelievable submission.
Wonder how he's doing.
Let me say also, I think you are the protagonist. You are the hero. However, I do believe this isn't everyone sucks here for me. Your wife, she put her hands up. She did nothing. You did not try any of the more reasonable options. You wanted your montage, and you could have had your montage, OP. You could have had your montage and your reasonable discussion with the principal or Cynthia's parents. You could have done something, anything, to not let this escalate to, I would argue, the most realistic worst case scenario. I'm going ESH. Sarah, where are you?
I could meet you there. I also think it's worth noting, though, that Cynthia supposedly started this physical fight. It's not like Megan just decided to wail on her.
She did, but the point is, no, so, Cynthia's the asshole too. There's no question. She's a little asshole, sure. But the thing is, could this have been de-escalated by some action on behalf of the parents? Yes, potentially, in the fact that they didn't even try that.
Or they could have even told her some shit to say.
Exactly. They could.
Okay.
They should have.
I
They
could
could have
go
done
ESH, sure.
something. Anything. I don't think this is good. I don't think this was the ideal way to handle this. I mean, I could do a soft ESH because I do really like OP, but I'm biased, you know.
I could do a soft
do a
ESH.
soft.
Not that
I mean,
because
OP gave us a juicy submish, so I'm on his. And let me just say, I was skeptical. I looked at the length and I go, "There's just no way. This is too long." And then this is like I see this movie in my head, and the hero is Megan. My God, epic post. Well,
I love it. It's Karate Kid. The sequel. No, there's already a sequel.
Yeah, it's Karate Kid, except it's Wrestling Basement Leader. That's really Kid. That's because that's where this was taught. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. We hope you all had a happy Thanksgiving. We hope you're enjoying the fall season, and we'll see you next Monday morning.
Bye.